So just to quickly demonstrate the important parts of basically doing a demonstration. So first I would say connect two visualizers, maybe use like the U50 and the M70, you can actually use that together. Currently I'm just looking at a white piece of paper. So where you really want to start at is basically, let's say for instance, having a textbook underneath the visualizer. I do have a bit of glare on the page currently. That's because of the LED on the visualizer itself. So maybe if you're using a textbook, either switch off the lights if it's something glossy, or just maybe get a matte piece of paper to actually avoid the glossy part on the page. So usually first of all I'll start on the left hand corner, basically underneath camera controls. My first option is basically a pause option, so where I can actually go and pause the image. The teacher would be able then to take the textbook away, putting the next part of the textbook, for instance, while the students are still writing down, and then I can actually unpause it and we will have a look at the next part of that information. Important to show is then basically just that you are able to actually go and zoom in, zoom out, and you have your zoom reset. So basically zoom in, zoom out, zoom restore. What you can show as well is basically my camera rotation, right, which is another tool that's basically available. Quite important as well is my annotation tools. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to change over to my M70, and by doing that I can click on my visualizer icon on the right hand corner. I'm just going to click on M70. Underneath the M70 I've actually already zoomed in. Let's just zoom out of that totally, just so you can see what I have. So I basically have a circuit board, so once again you can show that you can actually zoom in. Something like this is quite a great way to actually show how powerful the M70 really is. Alright, let's give it a moment to focus. If you find that the device is not focusing, you can always just go and click on autofocus and it will try and refocus that information for you. So the next part you can basically show is the annotation tool. So with the annotation tools you have a pen mode, you have a highlighter, you have a line tool, text, shapes, eraser, erase all, as well as colors that I can actually go and change. So what I would usually show in this is basically we can actually show that you might want to actually highlight some information on the circuit board. So I'm going to select my shapes. The grayed out shapes is basically shapes of solid falls, and the shapes, white shapes, is basically a shape of just an outline. So select in this instance I'm going to use the rectangular as a blank shape, and I'm just going to highlight, for instance, the LEDs that we have, and then from here I might actually want to add in some text to that, and I'm just going to say LED. You can go back to your annotation tools, select your mouse mode, you can click on that LED and you can actually move it around then from there. Right. The next part that I will show is basically how I'm able to actually go and capture this information. So open up a Word or a PowerPoint presentation as an example, and I'm just going to do this. I'm going to open Word. I'm just going to say this is today's lesson, right? I might want to actually just take that and move that up a bit. Let's just go and delete that. I'm just going to minimize the PowerPoint again. Then on the left hand side I'm just going to go to my screen capture option, and I'm going to show you basically that there's different ways of how you can capture. So when I click on my screen capture, you have a full screen mode capture, or full screen, which will capture everything underneath the visualizer in normal quality or in high definition. So when I take a snapshot, that will basically save it, and it saves it directly to my computer as a picture file. Now what I have the ability to do is actually go back to my PowerPoint, and I can immediately go and paste that picture into my PowerPoint presentation. You have the ability to actually go and resize that as well, and let's just resize that a little bit bigger. So there's the first part of my lesson, for instance. I'm just going to add in a new slide as well. Let's just delete that once again. You then have the ability of the next part of my screen capture is basically just my area capture. So with the area capture, I can actually, once I've clicked on it, I can actually go and select the area that I want to capture. So in this instance, I'm just going to select the LEDs. So it will only save the LED part of that screen for me, and once again go back to your PowerPoint, and you can actually go and paste that in there. That's still a picture obviously, so I can still go and resize that from there as well. So that's quite an important part, especially for teachers actually wanting to prepare their lessons. The next part that you can show is basically just my continuous capture. The continuous capture, you have the ability to actually say to the camera or to a computer through the camera that I want the camera to take a photo every 30 seconds, let's say for the next 72 hours. Once I've actually extended my time, you'll notice that the intervals change as well, so I can make it for every 6 hours in the 72-hour period. So something like this I would use for demonstrating molds growing on bread. So if I leave my visualizer on over the weekend, it will actually take pictures of how the mold is growing on the bread. Or if you're doing something like the germination of the seed or something like that. So once you click start, it will start actually doing that for you. My next part that I have is then basically just my video recording options. So here you can also show that you can actually go and do a video recording. So just hit on record. You'll notice that the recording automatically starts on the left hand side. It's actually flashing there. Now this will actually record everything happening underneath the visualizer. So anything that I might show underneath the visualizer will be recorded. And any annotations, so if I had selected a pen or anything like that, that will also be recorded from there. Once you're done, you can actually just click on the stop record, and then from here automatically the recording will open in the Windows Media Player. You will notice that the recording automatically starts on the left hand side. It's actually flashing there. Now this will actually record everything happening underneath the visualizer, so anything that I might show underneath the visualizer. Right, so that will actually go and record the entire screen of everything that I've done. Right, so good part to show. Then the next part that you can show is basically the side by side. So if I look on the left hand corner, so basically my side by side mode, so I have a visualizer which is the default mode, and a side by side mode where I can bring in more than one camera at a time. So what I can do is I can actually change what I want to see. So I might want to bring in my U70, so I can connect two visualizers at the same time, or you might actually want to bring in a different camera, or you can even bring in a webcam in this instance. So that's totally up to you how you want to use that and demonstrate that. Then on the bottom right hand corner, I can actually, you have your zoom in, so I can actually go and zoom in onto information, zoom out of information. And if I don't want this camera, I can actually just go and close that off. Then if I go to the left hand corner, very top on corner, I have my media library. Now all my pictures that's basically been captured get saved into this picture library, and you have the ability to actually click on these pictures and you're able to actually drag it into your presentation up to a maximum of 6 images at a time. So on the left hand corner I still have my one camera, which is basically live. You can go and change your source if you wanted to. So if I wanted to select a different visualizer, I can have that still underneath there as well. Right, you still have your annotation tools at the bottom. You have your video recording, so I can still record, and you still have the ability to take a screenshot, and that will actually save that entire screen as a picture. If you want to, just click on one of the images and you can actually go and close them off. So if you only wanted to have a look at 4 different screens, you can have a look at 4 different screens from there. Or if you want 2 screens, you can have 2 screens from there. Totally up to you how you want to demonstrate this. Right, I'm just going to go back to my visualizer mode. So the last part that you can really show is on the right hand side you have the sphere. So this is called my widget mode, so you can actually click on that widget mode. What this allows you is to basically bring in your camera into your presentation or onto your desktop. You have the ability to actually go and resize that as well. You can show that you can still do screen recordings and screen capture basically from the widget mode as well. So this can be used if you like doing a PowerPoint presentation. So maybe I should just change this camera to sorry, I should have actually changed the camera. But what you can do is maybe, let's say for instance, I was doing a lesson on circuit boards, so I have my PowerPoint presentation basically on circuit boards. Then at the same time, underneath I have the visualizer. Underneath the visualizer, I have my circuit board. You can actually go and demonstrate that lesson then from there, and still refer back to your PowerPoint presentation at the same time. Once I close the widget mode, you can just go and back to your Sphere software, and let's just change the camera so that you can actually see what's happening there. So then I'm live automatically back again. I hope this helps you. Just give me a shout if there's anything else that you require.